Good morning, everybody. It's 8:30 on Tuesday, May 25th. This morning we're having quite the sell-off in the SP 500, the broad market. We saw the international market sell down strong last night, and it's really carried through, and the U.S. markets have dropped as well. Yesterday we did see the S&P drop into the close with some heavy selling, and that just continued on pretty much at the same speed throughout the night. And we may have formed a bottom around 5 o'clock this morning. Right now the prices have rebounded, but I'll go over those charts in a quick second. Right now I'm just going to go over gold here. Yesterday we had a pretty relaxed day with gold. Not a whole lot happened. It did gap open higher and moved up nicely. We did see this drift up and a pullback, and then we had a couple nice surges here, and then we saw this drift, and I mentioned up here that if we wanted to take some profits off the table and buy back at a lower price later in the day, we could. And these drifts here that we can see, both of them, a drift higher like that at just a steady speed is a bearish sign, which is why I was saying we could pull some money off the table, because usually once you get a drift like that, we get a type of pullback, and we got a three-wave pullback, and went down almost to the 1185 level. So anyways, that's what happened in gold yesterday. Pretty much we're trading in this right now, we're trading in the range from yesterday, so we could just bounce around in here. There's a lot of weakness in the market, so we might see money move into gold once the market's open, and we might see gold continue to higher like yesterday. If we get the same, we might get a surge here and a drift higher. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Let me just pull in the daily chart of gold. Daily chart of gold, pretty much everything's in line with what we were looking for in gold. We had the sell down, came into the support level, we picked it up down here, and now it's starting to move up. And I'll probably issue an alert today to move our stops to break even. We don't want to take a loss on this trade. So that's what we're looking for. Hopefully we're going to see this just continue to go up, hopefully to the 1220 area, possibly test the highs, and depending what happens after that, we might see it go much higher than that. But we're going to be moving our stops to break even today, just to protect our capital. As for the hourly chart, if we pull the hourly chart up here, we can see we had the large sell down in the last couple weeks of gold. It rolled over, and now we've seen it rally up, and now it's doing this little bull flag here, and it tried to break out this morning. It's pulled back a bit now that the S&P seems to have put in a bottom, and it's trying to move higher, so money's kind of coming out of gold and going back to the S&P. But more or less we've got this bull flag, and it's a light volume flag here, which is what we want to see, and hopefully we'll get a surge up into the 1220 area, which is about the measured move from the low down here to the high. You take that the low to the high, and it works out to be about the same, and that ends up being a pretty key resistance level through here. It's more of a pivot point. So that's what I'm looking for gold. As for the S&P, let's pull that up. Yesterday we saw the S&P sell down sharply. Actually, it held up very well throughout the day. This is what happened yesterday with this candle. We saw it held up fairly well for the day, and then at the end of the day it rolled over. Heavy selling, financials and energy stocks pulled it down sharply, and then once the futures continued on through the night, we saw this continued selling with pretty heavy volume, and now it's almost tested the lows here back in February. It's 50 cents off the S&P from touching the lows, and right now it's trying to stabilize here. So let's just take a look at the intraday price action. Yesterday, we just zoom in here, we saw the selling into the close, and we saw selling in the afternoon into the close. We just got this heavy selling volume, and it really just knocked the markets down from here to here, and then through the night it's just been a steady grind lower and lower. So unfortunately it's kicked our stop out at we had it set at 1051.25, so we set our stop right about here, and it got triggered. So most of us, depending where you entered, the original position was somewhere around 10.55. We took some money off, hopefully yesterday afternoon or throughout the session sometime, and we only had 1/3 or 2/3 of a position, hoping to buy back at a lower price, which we have now. But now that we have panic selling and our stop's been triggered, I'm going to wait for a reset of an extreme setup again, which we might end up with today or tomorrow morning. Most likely tomorrow morning, because today is going to be a panic session, I think, and we'll have a bit of follow through again on Wednesday, and that's when we'll look to scale in and pretty much be the same setup as we had on Friday. So that's what I'm seeing right now. Right now you can see the S&P is trying to bottom. It's been coming down, and now it's kind of slowed. It's headed back up, and it's going to try and break this key, more or less, level that it gapped down. So if that pops, we'll probably see a move to the 65 area, and possibly retest the close there around 10.75. So we'll have to see what happens there. We're now in cash. Once the market opens at 9:30, anybody trading ETFs that has your stop in place, they'll all be triggered. Unfortunately, it's at lower prices. Unfortunately, that's what happens with ETFs. You don't get 24-hour trading, so you can't get out as the price moves. Sometimes you get a worse fill with the gap, but not much we can do about that. US dollars moved up pretty strong throughout the night. That's put some pressure on stocks. Oil's down about over $2. There's just been a lot of overall selling going on. So I think the market has already made a huge move from the high yesterday, from this high here to the low. It had moved over 4.5%. That's pretty extreme for that time period, especially considering it's through the night. So I do expect some type of rebound this morning, but we still might get one more wave down. When the market opens, there's going to be a lot of panic, I think, and we might get one more push below this low, and that'll cause an extreme panic low with some pretty big volume, and then we might get the rebound. So we're trading right now at an extreme panic. Market is overstretched for sure to the downside. I don't think it's a great idea to go long yet. We kind of want to see what's going to play out and wait for the market to reset. All this happening through the night really throws everything for a kink, because it's true volume, but it's not everybody watching the market. So we'll have to see what happens when it opens up and everybody sits down at their trading stations and sees what's going on. So pretty much everybody should be in cash at 9:30 if you're not already in cash now, and we just kind of wait for the next setup. Anyways, I'll talk to you in the chat room. Bye bye.